This is examples in music for Module 20. Objective 20.1 says define, identify, label, and notate the following types of cadences: deceptive, plagal, Phrygian, in music exercises and real music examples. This excerpt has a good example of a deceptive cadence followed by a perfect authentic cadence. In this piece, the deceptive cadence occurs in this measure. The perfect authentic cadence occurs in this measure and gives us good opportunity to compare and contrast the two. We're in the key of F major. A deceptive cadence is when a cadence happens ending on the submediant chord, the Roman numeral 6 chord. In the key of F major, the Roman numeral 6 chord is a D minor triad. And that's what we see here, D, F, A. It ends with a perfect authentic cadence, going from a C major minor 7th chord, the dominant 7th, to a 1 chord. Both of these chords are in root position, and the top voice ends on the tonic, making it a PAC. Let's listen to it again and notice the different feel of the 6 chord deceptive cadence and the perfect authentic cadence. Here's an example of a plagal cadence. Plagal cadences involve the Roman numeral 4 going to the Roman numeral 1 at the cadence point. This piece is in A minor. The Roman numeral 4 would be a D minor chord, the Roman numeral 1 would be an A minor chord. We see that cadence point happen in this measure, where we have D, F, A, the D minor chord, going to A, C, E, the 1 chord. Very prominent plagal cadence occurs in this famous work. This is in the key of D major. The Roman numeral 4 is a G major chord. The Roman numeral 1 is a D major chord. And that's what we see at the end. G, B, D chord going to D, F sharp, A chord. Plagal cadence. Here's an example of a Phrygian cadence. Phrygian cadences only appear in minor keys and are a very specific type of half cadence. Roman numeral 4 in first inversion goes to root position 5. This piece in the key of A minor has the Roman numeral 4, the D, F sharp, A in first inversion, here in the last measure shown. D, F sharp, A. F sharp's in the bass, it's in first inversion. Going to an E chord, E, G sharp, B in first inversion. Notice the half-step movement from the bass note of the 4 chord to the bass note of the 5 chord, which invokes the Phrygian mode, one of the modes that has a half-step between its first 2 scale degrees. Here's another example of a Phrygian cadence. This piece is in the key of A minor. The Roman numeral 4 chord we expect to see is a D minor chord in first inversion, going to a Roman numeral 5 chord, the E major chord. And that occurs right here, where we have D, F, A, the F is in the bass, going to E, G sharp, B, and again we notice the half step from this F going to this E. Objective 20.2 says identify chords that possess a descending fifth root motion relationship, and 20.3 says identify and notate proper voice leading between two chords that are related by descending fifth root motion. This piece can demonstrate both of those concepts. This piece is in G major and starts with a 5-7 chord going to a 1 chord. These two chords have a descending fifth root motion relationship. The root of this chord is a D, and the root of this chord is a G, and G is a descending fifth below D. Now in this case, we actually see the D here and then the G a fifth below it. However, if the G was an octave above, giving us an ascending fourth literally, the two chords would still possess a descending fifth root motion relationship. Again, because the root of this chord is D and the root of this chord is G. It doesn't matter what inversion or how the notes are placed, that relationship remains the same. From the learning resources, you'll see that other Roman numeral chords possessing a descending fifth root motion relationship include the 1 chord going to the 4 chord, or the 4 chord going to the leading tone chord, or the leading tone chord going to the 3 chord, or the 3 chord going to the 6 chord, 6 chord going to the 2 chord, or the 2 chord going to the 5 chord. In regards to 20.3, talking about proper voice leading between the two chords of descending fifth root motion, we'll notice that two chords with this relationship share one common pitch, and we should keep that common pitch the same if possible. All other voices will move to the closest pitches of the next chord for smoothest voice leading. If there are tendency tones present, we should resolve them correctly using the rules from previous objectives. If we have a root position 5-7 going to a root position 1, we should resolve that correctly using previous rules as well. And that is what we have here. We have a root position 5-7 chord going to a root position 1. That means in order to avoid incorrect parallel motion, one of these chords should be incomplete. And in fact, it's the second chord. You'll see we have G, B, B, G, G. There's no D here. That is omitted. And D happens to be the common tone between the two. So that's why you don't see any of these notes staying the same. They're all moving. Because this D, see that the F sharp leading tone resolves up by step. We'll see that the C chordal seventh resolves down by step. Objective 20.4 says identify chords that possess a descending third root motion relationship. 20.5 says identify and notate proper voice leading between two chords that were related by ascending or descending third root motion. Listen to this excerpt. We're in the key of F major, and at the end here we have a D minor chord, which is the 6th chord in that key, going to an F major chord, which is the 1 chord. Those two chords happen to have a root motion relationship of an ascending third. Characteristics of chords that have a root motion by third relationship is that they share two common pitches. We should hold the common pitches and move the remaining pitch to the closest note possible. And that's what happens here. Both chords share the notes F and A, and we see that the F and A's stay the same, and the other notes involved move to the closest note possible of the following chord. Let's listen again. Objective 20.6 says identify chords that possess an ascending second root motion relationship. 20.7 says identify and notate proper voice leading between two chords that are related by ascending second root motion. We've used this excerpt in examples of music before, but it also demonstrates this point as well. Here we have two settings of 4 chords going to 5 chords. The relationship of a Roman numeral 4 chord going to a 5 chord is an ascending root motion by second relationship. This is a 4 chord going to a 5 chord, and that happens over here as well, a 4 chord going to a 5 chord. When you have two chords that are related by root motion of ascending second, they have no common pitches, so every pitch has to move, and that's what we see. This note changes, 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 changes. Again, over here, changes, 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 changes. We have to be very careful because this is a prime situation to have parallel motion. The easiest way to avoid parallel motion when dealing with two chords by root motion of ascending second is to use contrary motion of what's happening in the bass voice. You'll see here in the second setting, the bass goes up and every other voice goes down. In the first setting, the bass goes up and nearly every other voice goes down. This one goes up, but we do not see parallel fifths and parallel octaves happening, so it is acceptable.